everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. Alex Navarro, we are here again.
Yeah, no, we are. I mean, that's just a factual statement. I'm here.
Here we are. Well, you're there. I'm here. I'm here. You're there. You're there. I'm here.
But we are here together, even though I am here and you are there.
Yes.
Here and there is here together with us.
That's with everyone. You're all here.
You're following this at home, right?
Yes. I hope they're at home, or maybe they're on a bus. Maybe they're somewhere else.
Are they here? Are you here now?
Wherever you are, there you are. What's the line? Oh, shit. What's the line?
Here, there, wherever you are.
There it is. Right. Yeah.
You're on the Nextlander podcast, whether you want to be or not.
Who is not here is Brad Shoemaker, but he is. He should be back next week. You can go listen to him on the Ramblecast. We wish him all the best and his family. You can catch up with him, and his father passed away, so you can go give him his condolences over on the chat. Thanks everybody for doing that on the Discord, and we appreciate that he was able to make it on for the Ramblecast, but I think he'll be back with more next week.
He will be joining us this week on the Watchcast. It's worth noting because we are going to be getting back into the world of Star Trek, so it's worth pointing that out just so everyone can get ready. I will have a post up before the end of this week over on the Patreon.
Get ready. Alex. We here on this podcast, while Brad was out on some family leave, had Patrick Klepek on, and he talked about bringing his daughter to the Backrooms theater. To the film. To the theater.
Not into the actual Backrooms, never to be seen again. Yes.
That's right. The film in a theater, the Backrooms, a rated R movie? I guess it must be rated R.
Well, it's a horror movie. I can't think of too many PG-13 horror movies of recent.
Yeah, I guess. So I watched it. I saw the Backrooms. The reason I bring this up is because we talked a lot about kids and bringing what age for rated R movies and horror movies. So my daughter, who is 12, she would have loved this. Just side story: we picked her up from camp. She said she had a great time at camp.
Excellent.
And as we're picking her up, friends would come by and be like, "Roxy, oh my gosh, Roxy, bye," and she'd be like, "Yeah, I guess," or something like that. Be like, "All right, yes,
yeah, I'm back. What?
Yeah, okay, bye." And then the friend would be like, and then the friend, this literally happened. A friend looked at us, and be like,
"What am I supposed to say?"
I was like, "Kiddo, like, you don't want to be
getting anywhere with her."
Hey, it was great. I'll see you. She's like, "Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll see her. Like, it was fun." Like, you're the worst. Like,
she really is just a no-seller. Like, that is her primary personality trait, is that she just no-sells everything.
She's
like Hulk Hogan.
The kid who just, well, let's hope only in that way.
Yeah, and only in that specific way, yes.
Literally, the kid made eye contact with her parents to be like, are we still friends? What do we do? I think she also acts differently in front of us than she does with her friends.
Right.
Just like, hey, yeah.
She doesn't want to let the guys down in front of the folks.
A little bit. I just swear, she feels like she's just Daria-ing out.
Yeah.
The more and more.
That's the age. She's in the age group where that happens.
Daria. Anyway.
I mean, I knew, and there's plenty of audio record of this over the years where I dialed in on what she was going to be as she got older. I'm not saying there's not room for her to vary that up, to do things that are unexpected, but I know a sardonic goth teen in the making when I meet one, even if they're super young, and your daughter has always been that.
Well, I was like, because she had seen the Backrooms, and I think in her personality, she likes that stuff. She's like,
she's into liminal spaces.
She's into weird, darker things. Her life is
one big dark room.
Yeah, exactly. So she likes that stuff, and she's like, I'd watch that. I'd watch that. And we talked.
Has she ever seen the short films on YouTube or anything?
So we watched some of them before we led up to this. I'll say from watching it, I think it is Patrick's daughter's younger than my daughter is by a couple of years. My daughter's 12. I think it was totally fine.
Yes.
It's
based on everything I've heard, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like Patrick said, at the end, it does ratchet up into a more tense, kind of grosser bit, but nothing too gross. It's a lot of psychological horror. There's some stuff I was like, oh, that's nasty. but nothing I'd say out of the realm for a teenager. I would say every kid is different. There was nothing that I thought was too grotesque, personally. I think the movie's very weird.
Yeah.
We watched some of the. I think watching some of the short films is very helpful before you go in to kind of set the expectation for what this is going to be and flesh out some things, because they don't really go into a lot of lore in this. And
I'm kind of glad for that, honestly, based on what I've heard about it, because I think the mood and the sort of vibe is really all you need to get that thing across. And it sounds like the most it tries to do with like commentary is just kind of like a, the decaying structures of America kind of all sort of like floating in this this Backrooms area and stuff like that.
It does as an adult going into it, and there's not really much to spoil here because it's more of an experience than a narrative tale, I would say. Right. But there are some things in it that reminded me of Annihilation. There is some hey, the environment is echoing personality traits here, and the environment is making these distorted copies of this nonsense. It also reminded me a lot of and I don't know if this is intentional or not, I don't know that much about the subculture of it, AI. It's like, oh, here's a thing that you're like, hey, make me a bathroom, and it's like, I know it should have toilets somewhere, I know there's probably a sink or 20 in the room. It's that kind of thing.
The concept of the backroom certainly predates like generative AI being everywhere. But I think, Kane Parsons is very much on record saying, I fucking hate AI. I hate this shit. I don't want it. And I don't want generative AI anywhere near anything that I do. So I imagine a little of that found its way into this particular screenplay and the kind of this presentation of it.
So she liked it. And then we were like, look, I don't know enough about this, the culture around this stuff. But I bet I know someone who does, and so I went to Eye Patch Wolf's channel and watched their video on liminal spaces, and I believe it was up. I don't want to get this wrong, but I believe it was up way before the Backrooms came out as a movie.
Yeah.
But Kane Parsons was doing the shorts.
Right.
So it's a video about liminal spaces versus kind of Backrooms and the differences in liminal horror and space. And it was really good. And we watched it and we're like, oh, okay, this actually makes a lot of sense. This is really interesting. Deep dive on this fandom of it. And then while we're there, my daughter is like, what is this one on Garfield?
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, it's nothing. It's just like, wait, but why is Garfield, what is that Garfield picture? So we watched the hour plus Garfield, Eye Patch Wolf Garfield video. And
is it about erotic Garfield?
There's some of that.
Okay.
It's more about the Cthulhu. It's more about Garfield and the existential parts of John.
You've seen the Garfield without Garfield comics, right?
So it really is a very long dive into. It's a fascinating work. I'll just say, if you haven't seen it and you're interested in this stuff, I think Eye Patch Wolf does an amazing job breaking it down. But it is all about Garfield and John's relationship and how John is suffering. An interpretation is that John suffers under Garfield. That Garfield is this tormentor of John Arbuckle, and I had not remembered this, but it's in the video. Do you remember those live action shorts on YouTube? The Garfield's
Lasagna Cat.
Yeah, Lasagna Cat. I don't think I made it all the way to the finale of Lasagna Cat or had seen the finale of Lasagna Cat.
Was that the Miami Vice one, or was there a different finale?
There's the one where he's answering the door. This was years and years later.
Yeah.
Answering the door where people had called up to tell how many sex partners they had, people they'd slept with. And then ends with John Arbuckle, and then he goes through it for hours and hours. The video's hours and hours and hours long. And
it's 4 hours and 40 minutes long.
Yeah, and so it's just people who had left voice messages, and then at the end, the last one is John answers the door, and John Arbuckle is at the door. And then it spins off into John Arbuckle, who was at the door, aging and then wandering and then turning to worms. That's like a Garfield and this whole thing. And And then
I want to be clear, these are normally 2-minute videos.
Right, yeah. And
one of them is like an hour, and that is like the premiere of whatever that season is, or because I guess they put them all up on the same, whatever the season 2 of that is.
Yeah.
They put all of them up in 2017 at the same time. So all of the, like, everything that is season 2, including the sex survey results episode, is all from then.
So iPatch Wolf goes through all that stuff, and on Super iPatch Wolf's channel, the video, he goes through the kind of evolving fandom of Garfield and associations. My daughter we watched the whole thing. And there are some.
Does she like Garfield?
I don't think she has a relationship with Garfield, but I think she found the idea fascinating. This whole the kind of monstrous nature that Garfield could have with John Arbuckle. And I always found my favorite of all of that stuff was always the Garfield without Garfield. Like that was. I think that stuff is brilliant. I think it just works in a lot of ways. I also found the Garfield random generator stuff kind of funny, where you just take 3 panels and randomize them and then have a Garfield comic. I think that stuff is very funny. Anyway,
I think more interesting things have been done with Garfield than Garfield ever did with Garfield.
It's just an amazing thing for then a child who really has no tie to Garfield other than the top or I don't know what is currently the very peak of foundations of bullshit, you know? Like I feel like you and I were probably near the ground floor for Garfield. Hey, Garfield, it's a comic. There's Heathcliff and there's Garfield and a couple of other cats out there. And now she's coming in at like, oh, that may as well have been a folktale people tell, because we only get the very top of this weird fandom pyramid.
Right.
Anyway, fantastic video. Backrooms, weird movie.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, and I am looking forward to watching it at some point. I think it just hit streaming, you said, not that long ago, right? Yeah, so I got to check that out at some point.
So yeah, I recommend it, and again, like the parental point of view for me is like, I think for my kid it was fine. She's 12. I think it would have been. It all depends on your kid, but only gets a little gnarly at the end there. But I think it depends on what state your kid is at with it's a little more psychological. It's a little slow moving.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, if your kid is willing to go in for a horror movie, like they're already pretty much prepared for the worst.
I think
you know, and I and that is not a movie that seems like it is delivering the worst of that stuff by any stretch. I think the other movie we've been talking about when we had that conversation was Obsession, which I have seen recently.
Oh, you have? What'd you think?
I thought it was good. I think it definitely feels like a Tales from the Crypt episode that has been stretched to a full-length movie, but
sure.
But the performances are good. I think the individual moments are good, but that is, like, we kind of settled on when we were talking with Patrick about it, like, that's probably a movie for high schoolers, and I think that seeing it now, yes, absolutely, that's how I feel about it.
Okay, because watching that trailer, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to watch this. This looks a little gory. Is it? It
has gory parts for sure, but I wouldn't say they are constant. It's more just really unnerving in places. Like the behavior of Indy Navarrete's character as things progress gets very uncanny and haunting in a way that is also kind of violent and nightmarish.
Okay, but nothing like too body horror-esque.
There's a couple of bits, I would say, that are probably like, I would say if you're like 15 or 16, no problem, but like 12, that's maybe like, because it's also relationship horror. And I feel like that's something like high schoolers are probably more dialed in on than like middle schoolers.
I think I found in movies, this happens in Hereditary as well. No spoilers here for the movies, but there's something about possession and self-inflicted harm that I really don't like. When a character throws themselves at something and inflicts harm on themselves. This happened in Talk to Me as well.
Yes.
I really have a hard time with that. I think that's tough.
So it's not there is that. There is definitely like self-harm aspects to that movie, but like also it's not technically possession because there is no spirit or other thing that is actually inhabiting this person. It's like it's a magical wish, more or less, that sets the whole thing in motion. So it's more like her personality is being ridden by some sort of magical force, and occasionally she peeks through, and that is actually some of the most disturbing stuff, is when the veil starts to drop, in random spurts.
There's actually, I will just say before we get to the games here and the other stuff, I was just looking, and there's a bunch of stuff that should be hitting streaming soon that I'm curious to see. I saw I'm curious to see Supergirl. I don't know how long until that hits streaming.
I think that's out now.
Oh,
I think that just
have
hit.
a long run. Okay,
yeah.
There's that Spielberg sci-fi movie that I'm curious about. The
Disclosure Day, which I've heard wildly mixed things about.
Yep, I want to see that. There's that Masters of the Universe movie, which I think is
I've heard wildly mixed things about.
I think I saw that pop up on like an Amazon or something. I think that's
it is
out there.
Amazon. Amazon made it.
Oh, okay, then that's why I would see that. I think I'm getting pretty close to just dumping more. I still have Amazon and HBO, and they every time I buy something on there, rent something on there, and I go back to watch it, it's buried under like 4 scroll. I just want all that stuff at the top. Like, just show me the stuff I own. Why do I have to go like hunting for it? Or I don't know. It's a minor quibble. It's
all out there, man. You just got to know how to reach out and grab it.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, I feel like there was a while there I was like, there's nothing out there I want to watch, and maybe it's I don't know, what would you say, the early summer stuff is starting to come out?
Yeah, I would say right now what you're seeing is the stuff that came out in like April and May and stuff, like in June, and maybe like early June, finally starting to hit streaming. So
yeah, curious to go watch some of that stuff, and maybe I'll wait for my son to get home to watch. Like, I don't know, they don't care about Masters of the Universe, but
I might end up at a movie theater sometime soon because my partner was like, "Hey, do you want to go see the Odyssey?"
Odyssey, oh man, it's gonna pull you in IMAX.
But she wants to go to the full IMAX, and there's only like one of those like anywhere within like 70 miles or whatever of this place, and it's in New York City. So I'm like, when are we going to do that?
Wait, is that the only one by us?
I think it's the only official 70 millimeter IMAX one is in New York City.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
There's the LIMAX stuff, which again, I don't talk about things that way because I understand it is not the true IMAX experience, but it's still a very big fucking version of it. I don't care about that as much, but she wants to see the full thing, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to plan for this because I'm just surprised she wants to go at all because like she likes Nolan okay, but is not like a huge like she likes.
I think it's an event, you know.
She likes the Nolan Batman stuff. She's not as into like a lot of the other stuff, and also I don't think she cares about the Odyssey or Homer or any of that stuff. So I'm like, I don't know why you want to see this, but you do. This might be the first time I go to a movie theater in like 4 years.
I think this one has like taken the monoculture in a way that a lot of stuff doesn't.
For better and for worse, yes.
Yeah. Right. I kind of am curious to see it. You know, and I don't know if maybe I'd make a trip into the city just to go see it. It's in Midtown, right? That IMAX.
I think so. I don't remember which one is the IMAX, the actual IMAX theater.
Yeah. I saw a thing. Okay, look, we're way off topic and we're spilling too much time here, but it's okay. It's fine. This is what happens.
This is what happens when there's 2 of us, okay?
Extension of the Ramblecast. I need to look this up, but did you hear anything about this like reboot of Batman where he's like a blue collar worker?
What?
And
what are you talking about? Okay,
wait. You just mentioned Batman. This is not something I prepared for this podcast, but
okay.
I think there's like a Batman reboot where he's like a blue collar worker. Maybe the Joker is rich. What is it? Absolute Batman? I think it's called. If you're giving me a blank stare.
If this is comics related, this is why I don't know what's going on because
it's comic related.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, there is an Absolute Batman that started in 2024.
I just heard an interview about this on the radio.
Yes, he's a blue collar civil engineer named Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and I was like,
so they made him Steel, basically, but instead of Superman Steel, it's now Batman Steel.
I need to look more into this, but I kind of wanted to bring it up because I wanted to get, I know we have a lot of comic fans that listen to this podcast, the audience take on whether it's good, it's bad, because I do feel like we have a lot of other superheroes that are blue-collar workers or not wealthy, playboys, and I just kind of feel like that's Batman's thing. It's like kind of a thing that he has, and why...
Like, I see how you get there because let's say the rich vigilante is maybe not the most in fashion personality type right now.
Totally.
But I feel like Batman is the one I give the pass to with that because he's been Batman like that since the 1940s.
Like, there are things about Batman for me as a very surface level Batman fan, like, that are like, hey, he's very rich.
Yes.
He's very traumatized.
He has a cave.
He's got a cave. He probably would vote differently than I would vote.
I don't know what his tax beliefs are, honestly. Like, I don't know, like, what branch he is with that stuff.
I mean, people could probably fill us in. Like, we're probably...
It probably depends on which version.
Yeah.
You know, is like the Frank Miller Batman a libertarian? Yes, I could believe that. Absolutely.
Look, does Batman hate... Does Batman hate Superman because Superman is an alien power that is a threat to all of humanity, or does he hate Superman because he wasn't born here? Okay, that's what I
hard to say.
That's what I need to know. Okay, is it because Superman's wearing the red, white, and blue, and he's from another planet? I don't know. Okay, I've seen a lot of versions of Batman up for debate. Anyway, there was an interesting thing. I would be curious to get the audience's. I'm saying I really don't know, but I am curious what the audience thinks of that reads Batman. From the interview, people seem to like it.
Okay.
This reboot.
But I do want to know, is Batman in Peter Thiel's group chat? Is he going to Bohemian Grove? I need to know these things.
I mean, I assume not this Batman, not working class
No,
Batman.
probably not. No, they wouldn't invite him.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne, wealthy Bruce Wayne, would at least need to keep tabs on people, right? Because you need to know where the vampires are.
But does he need to keep tabs on people outside Gotham City?
Yes.
Okay. Because he usually doesn't.
Yeah. It seems like all of that stuff for him filters into Gotham City, though.
It is kind of his, like, raison d'etre to guard Gotham City in particular.
Do you know what DC's version of, like, San Francisco is? Like, is there a tech DC?
Know, man, I don't.
Yeah.
I do not know most things about the DC universe, if I'm being completely clear. Most of what I do know is about Batman and is about specific runs of Batman from a very long time ago.
Because, like, Metropolis is, like, New York.
More or less.
And then Gotham is New York at night? Or is it, like, Chicago?
Dog.
Is it like, yeah.
It's
right.
It's they're kind of both New York, but they're also both kind of not. Again, it also really depends on whose interpretation of it you're reading or watching or whatever. So
we're not saying we're experts. Look, if you're screaming at the thing,
in the Nolan movies, there are like 3 different cities that stand in for Gotham, like Chicago, Pittsburgh, other places. So I don't fucking know.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit about video game stuff here. A little bit. All right. We played some Splatoon Raiders.
We sure
folks. Did. Splatoon Raiders on the stream. We played with Abby Russell. We got out there. We raided. Alex, it sounds like you jumped in to do a little solo work there and try it out on your own.
Yeah, it's a little different when you play that game, which is primarily designed, I think, as a co-op experience. Like it's not a competitive multiplayer game, as we've said before. It is a game where you, by yourself or you with friends, go and take on these sort of raid-based challenges, these levels that are, you know, like designed to be kind of repeatable because you're also there for like resource gathering and other things. But mostly you are just trying to run through this campaign of missions where you are trying to get off of this place where you are stranded. And it really is just about like using all the different guns and techniques from Splatoon multiplayer in a sort of like, you know, PvE experience.
Yeah, and I think when we were playing, a little bit of a it's slow is not the right word. When we were playing for the first, I'd say hour and change together, because there is kind of a long onboarding.
It took me about half hour to get through it.
Yeah, very Nintendo. And then I'd say when we were playing together, it was like, okay, this is kind of a little bit like a chat room, just hanging out with your friends, doing stuff. Then things started to escalate. I feel like then towards the last 45 minutes, a half hour of the stream, I was way more engaged, and I was like, okay, we need to figure out how to beat this level. It's gotten hard. Like we started wiping pretty regularly. Things definitely ratcheted up. The levels though seemed fairly short in kind of the ramp up. You know, like you're kind of in there, maybe 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, depending on how
depends
quickly,
on the situation, but
you're in there, and you pop back out, check your loots, do some upgrades, and just kind of jump it right back in. Like it's not a very complicated system.
No, and everyone's upgrading their own little like base area. It is a little funny that you just don't see your other player friends when you are in your base area setting things up. I'm not really sure why they went that route, but I'm sure there's a reason.
you do have unique things on your base, so I guess that would be the reason.
I guess
you might have an upgrade station that I don't have. Not that I think it's a good reason.
I do feel like you should still see people's little ghost people running around or something. You know?
Yeah. It would make it nice because the only way you can tell you're lobbied up is when you're like on the side of the screen. There's like portraits of everyone. So then you jump in and not a lot of territory control, at least in the things we did. Just take territory so that you can heal in your ink. If you know how Splatoon works, you cover the ground in your color of ink. The opposing forces will cover the ground in their color of ink. If you're on their color of ink, do you actually just take damage, or you can't heal?
I think you just slow down and you can't heal. I don't believe you actually take damage. It's much easier to hit you, basically.
Okay. You wanted some ground coverage is good. In a team, it was nice to have different weapons. There are different special abilities, different loadouts you can have.
It's that thing where like there's different level versions of every gun and every type of weapon, and then like they will all come with their own little like rolled bonuses attached to them and stuff. And that is very Splatoon. Like that's how a lot of the unlocks worked in the multiplayer games. And
then some charms and doodads you could put on to affect the certain abilities, and how they manage. I think there were 3 backpacks you can have, almost like class loadouts.
Yeah, like one is like the tech guy who has a turret. There's one that is like just for like being a tank dealing damage, and then there's also one that is like speed and agility.
Yes, and then you also get the ability to have an AI controlled or NPC, let's say, because AI is polluted.
Yes.
Tag along with you. That's another special. It's like your ult. You get your ultimate ability that pops every once in a while. So not super complicated, but it neither really stuck out to me nor was it bad. It was like just kind of a game I would jump into and chat about. It seems like a fun background game.
It was interesting reading that this apparently started out as like more of a tower defense game, because you can see a little of that in here. It's definitely not that in the grand scheme of things. And I think the reason they decided to pivot off of that is they just didn't think it felt like Splatoon as much. Okay. This still feels more or less like Splatoon, but it does kind of fundamentally change the game when you are using the ink mostly for traversal and not just to cover the map. I know they had those single player levels in the multiplayer games. They've had that like salmon run mode and other things where like, you're dealing with like waves of enemies and things like that. And that feels like in the same wheelhouse as this, those like salmon run modes and things like that. Yeah. But like, I see how you come to this game conceptually. Like at some point you're like, we've already done 3 of these competitive games. People seem to like these like little single player dalliances that we do. Let's try and flesh that out and do something a little more with it. I'm not sure they get all the way there with it. I'm not sure it's enough for me to sustain like an entire game just doing that. But I don't think anything about it is really bad. Like it all seems like it works pretty well. Like functionally, it's all there. Like getting into the multiplayer wasn't that hard. It's just not the most exciting version of Splatoon I've ever played.
And this was a thing that I had wanted. I wanted Splatoon to have more cooperative stuff. I thought the salmon run stuff was actually some of my favorite. But yeah, it's a little light, I found. Like I said, the later on stuff, and I also really enjoyed, there are different types of levels. Later on stuff was harder, and also the wave based stuff I think was my favorite versus some of the more objective based stuff, which just didn't seem that tactical. It wasn't especially like, hey, you go here, I'll go here, like it was more like, I will join up with you if it's getting hard, or like let's split up and go get some currency. Anyway, Splatoon Raiders, I think, is a fine game. It is $50 currently on the Switch 2.
I don't know that I would run out and go pay $50 for this if I wasn't doing it for work purposes. Like, I think it's good enough. If you have a good collection of people you will play this with regularly, at least until you finish it, then I say it's probably worth it. But if you're just going to play it on your own, I don't know if I would want to run out and drop 50 on this.
Yeah, my 2 cents as somebody who's not a big Splatoon person is that, and now you can do this on the Switch too with their voice chat. If you have some folks you want to catch up with and kind of have a lighter lift, and have some fun every week or once in a while, I think this is, like you said, Alex, you have a group that you just want to catch up with. This is a totally fun thing to have in the background going on as you grind away. Splatoon Raiders, out now, $50 Switch 2. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about some of the other games we've been playing, so stick around. This week's show is brought to you by MSI. Alex Navarro.
Yes, Vinny.
You may have heard that getting into the PC game might be a little expensive these days.
Yes, let's just call it various market factors have conspired to make personal computing not the most convenient it's ever been.
And while things might not be the most convenient, time does not take this into consideration. We know many people who are still having to get in there and buy parts for their PC, regardless of market conditions.
Graphics cards will inevitably fail. Technology will inevitably advance past the technology you own. You're gonna have to upgrade eventually.
Somebody's gonna have to buy something, and MSI is here for a deal to help those people who have to get into the video card game. They've got a special deal, 10% off actually, using a code here for Nextlander that'll get you a deal on the RTX 5060 or the RTX 5070. So the 5060, that's where you're going to want to be for around 1440p-ish stuff. And then the 5070, gets you a little closer to that super high-end, near the flagship stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to get in on this, again, this is going to get you 10% off of the 5060 or the 5070. You can head to us-store.msi.com and use code NEXT10, that's NEXT 10, the numeral 10 at checkout, and that's it. You'll get 10% off. That's RTX 5060s and RTX 5070 series cards at us-store.msi.com. Use code NEXT10 at checkout to get your 10% off MSI. Power doesn't have to cost this much. Thanks, MSI. All right, we are back, and now a game that has really grabbed me in a way that I'm very like I just finished this game. It's Desktop Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
I talked a little about it last week, or some about it last week. I think it's fantastic.
Okay,
I think is it one of the best things I've played this year? I've been thinking about that. I should say up at the front here, there are some things in it, before I go and recommend this to everyone, there are some things in there that deal with self-harm and suicide and things like that, so should know that going in. But the premise of the game, again, is that you are this girl, Gwen, who has a computer that has come into your possession, and there's a program on it called Desktop Explorer, and the game on the computer works by navigating through folder structures and stuff like that, like an adventure game for the most part. There's other ways it branches off, but that's the kind of core conceit. So, hey, you have this folder in front of you with some files. Those files might be your inventory, a map, something like that, and you'll have a locked folder, and you need to get the password for it. The real thing that hooked me was it uses the computer interface and uses some basic computer knowledge to solve a lot of the puzzles.
Okay.
There are certain meta things that are very interesting that I find super cool in manipulating the files and using the structure of an operating system to then solve things, you know, viewing source code or copying, deleting, moving files around from one place to another, that I think are very, very cool. Things change a little bit in the second and third act, but it's a very clever use of the operating system as exploring a dungeon and solving puzzles. The story is also interesting, and I think I played it through, and then my daughter played it through. I helped her with some of the puzzles, and she also enjoyed the story. It's probably right in her wheelhouse. Again, she's 12. We just talked about her in the beginning. She's 12. It's probably about that level of, I would say, young adults. Some of the things in there are kind of serious enough, but serious enough for like a teenager, I'd say, you know, like that kind of thing. It can be a little melodramatic, but I think the characterizations are good. And especially of some of the main characters, I think they are well done for what they're going for.
Cool.
Yeah, the caveat I'll say, and I think it's a small team. There are a lot of puzzles, especially in the second act, that require color stuff. It's really rough. This one, it is not colorblind friendly.
Okay.
It is maybe the only game. I don't know if this is 100% true, but maybe the only time I've gone onto the Steam forums to leave a comment. Because somebody had started a thread about colorblind assist, and the devs were like, "Oh my gosh, we're a small team. We'd love to, leave your feedback below." And I was like, "Yeah, this can be rough. I just wanted to add my voice to this. It would be great if there were some accessibility options regarding that." So it can be tough, not impossible. You might need a little help, or you might need to look up those puzzles. I needed. I muddled through them. And even then, it was frustrating. So that's probably my biggest knock against the game. A couple of bugs here and there. Against, I think it's a small team. A couple of maybe translation errors or other things or the writing is weird. Grammatical things that can be a little funny. But Desktop Explorer, I think it's excellent. It's like $18. Played it on the PC. I kind of want to see if my son wants to play it. I guess shorthand, I would explain it as it's like an escape room, like those escape room tabletop games, but on your PC, and uses the environment of the PC to amazing effect.
Gotcha.
So, big thumbs up for me. Desktop Explorer, maybe one of my favorite things I've played this year.
It sure sounds like it based on the way you've been talking about it.
Yeah. I'm curious. I don't know if it's out there getting a lot of buzz or not. I don't know if a lot of people in our community are playing it. If they have, I'd love to hear from you, because I think it's really fantastic. Okay. That is, again, Desktop Explorer. Alex, did you jump into more of a Truck-kun?
Yes, this is something we tried a few months ago, the last time there was a Steam demo for it. This is Truck-kun is Supporting Me from Another World, the latest game from Strange Scaffold. It is an isekai. You're
gonna have to explain that to.
It is,
of course,
Another World.
Another
World is the general translation for that in anime and manga tropes. And I guess it is actually a recurring trope in those, that one of the ways people get sent into whatever the Another World is getting hit by a truck. Like that is just like an ongoing joke in that whole sort of like milieu. So you are the truck driver in this. You have just accidentally isekai'd this random lady who is a businesswoman of some regard.
Okay.
She goes into the other world as a sort of muscular knight warrior type to fight things. But the way that you generate things for her to fight is by running over people with your truck.
In the real world.
Yes, in the real world, you are running over people, objects, everything you can with your truck, while also doing some sort of like crazy taxi-ish sort of delivery missions and whatnot. And the thing you're kind of trying to hit is just these like star goals, which are attached to, like, every run has a time limit, and you're given random objectives like, hey, drift for this amount of time, drive backwards for this amount of time, wreck into this number of things, etc. And all of those both generate the stuff in the other world for her to fight, which then helps give you stars when she defeats those enemies. And then also it just sort of builds up your meter as you're going along. And each round is like a few minutes at most, and you're then either jumping right back in and doing it again to get to the next star target, or not. And I think that in some ways this feels like one of the more mechanically like just tight versions of a Strange Scaffold game. Like, it looks pretty good, like the driving mechanics are fun. It gets a little hinky in places, like as you would imagine, launching a truck all over this open world environment. Sometimes it gets stuck in places. But they have a lot of mechanics that let you get out of those traps. It's just not that deep.
I was gonna say, does it escalate as you keep going? When we played the demo, I wasn't sure if the mechanics would change over time.
So it hasn't really changed that much as I have gone along so far. It seems like there's stuff that you are building toward as you go along. Like, there is a campaign. You are trying to like unlock new cutscenes that sort of progress whatever the story is. But I think it's mostly just a goofy chaos simulator that is, has this weird sort of like specific anime hook to it. And it's like fun, like the driving and the chaos is fun, but I think it's best served in small doses. Like, the more time I spent playing, the more I'm like, yeah, I kind of done this already. I kind of want to just take a break now.
Okay. And is is there like a story that's progressing as you're completing the missions that could be your hook?
Kind of, but I can't say that any of it has really like grabbed me in a major way yet. Like it's funny, like it's the dialogue is goofy, and I think it definitely understands the tropes it is playing with.
Yeah.
I think it's just not as interesting to me as maybe some of the other strain scaffold stuff like El Paso and I Am Your Beast and stuff, which are both also mechanically fairly tight games and maybe just don't look quite as good as this. But it's just, I think for me, it's like the current like road, like the path for this game, like the treadmill you're on is just not super exciting to me.
The loop, the
loop is like, okay, it's not amazing.
That is Truck-kun is supporting me from another world. $20, Xbox and PC currently.
Yeah, 15 on Steam right now on launch day. So
okay. Again, Truck-kun is supporting me from another world. I finished up D-topia.
Okay.
It's the kind of I think it's Annapurna put that out. Mm-hmm. It is the cozy-ish puzzle game. In the future, you're on a station where you're a facilitator and you're solving puzzles and helping a few of the inhabitants. It's fairly light. I think this one had a stronger start than a stronger finish for me. Mm-hmm. I found myself just kind of wanting to get to the end of this game, and then it did also just kind of end rather abruptly. I think the puzzles are fun and they are interesting enough. The puzzles all have a vibe of like a Puzzler magazine style puzzle of like, hey, like here's a unique set of numbers, and you've got to move blocks around to solve this puzzle and put the numbers in the right spot, or follow this line to add up to a certain amount before you get to the end by passing through certain modifiers and numbers. I like the puzzles just fine. The social stuff is also interesting. There is a fabric and a weave of this world that I thought would be more interesting than it wound up being towards the end. So a little bit of a letdown towards the end as I neared the conclusion there. Mm-hmm. But it's not very long. Enjoyed my time with it. I'd say it's an okay game, D-topia. It's not challenging. I think what probably knocked it down, if we were to talk in the parlance of reviews, a star or half a star, is a little too much backtracking, a little too much walking around and not being able to do things quickly enough that I'd want to do. A little too much downtime, let's say. But that is D-topia. It's $20. If you're into puzzles and specifically interesting puzzles, go check out a video maybe, or go see what's involved. It's definitely a blend of puzzles and walking around, talking, a little visual novel-esque, though visual novel implies certain things that this game is not. It's just social simulation. D-topia. All right. Now, Alex.
Yeah.
This one was very funny. So Halo Campaign Evolved.
Yes.
It is the new remake of the original Halo Combat Evolved. It is the nth time Halo has made its way back into the
Halo 1 specifically.
Yeah, Halo 1 into our good graces. So I was like, I'm like not super interested in jumping back into Halo. I like Halo a whole lot. Halo is I think a fantastic game. I've just played it a lot. Like when that game came out, played it. When that game came out, I played it again, co-op with people, and then I played some of the remakes and, when the remasters, when they would come out, the Master Chief Edition, remaster. But then, as I was finishing up, I installed Moss, right? And I should just say, this is very quick. The Moss that just came out on the PlayStation is a collection of non-VR Moss 1 and 2. I thought it was a new game. It is not. It is just a non-VR'd version of Moss. Maybe I'll talk about that after this. I just saw freaking Master Chief on my PlayStation.
Freaking Master Chief out here.
And I was like, this is just too weird. I gotta go buy this. I have to go play Master Cheese on my PlayStation. This is just too weird a thing.
It is a truly bizarre turn of events that this even exists at all. I mean, I know, look, there was the whole, everything is an Xbox. They are now moving away from that. It is just a bizarre, in from another universe thing to ponder a PlayStation game box that has Halo on it.
To the point where my daughter walked in and was like, "What are you playing?" I was just looking at this Halo remake on your PlayStation. and she at 12
knows.
She was like, isn't it Xbox? Isn't it completely Xbox branded and all that? And I was like, yes, it's so weird. All right. So first thing is you have to sign in with your Microsoft account. It won't let you even progress until it's very strong language that's like, you need to link your Microsoft account to your PlayStation account, and there are no backsies. This is forever and permanent. I have not played a first-party Xbox game on the PlayStation yet, so I'm not sure if this is a thing that happens with Forza or any of the other things that have come over. It may be, so this is the first time I encountered it. But it's like, make sure you're linking the right account. You will never be able to change this for as long as you live.
Yikes.
And I was like, okay. Because I do have multiple accounts for my kids. And I was like, okay, it's the right one. Anyway, it is a weird one. I played up until you get the Warthog. That was my point at which I wanted to play the game. So through the Pillar of Autumn stuff, and then get the Warthog because that's probably part of the game I've played the most. Dozens and dozens of times. It's a weird remake to me. It is. They've added stuff here, and I'm not. My brain is confused about what's been changed and added in all the different editions. Some stuff is definitely absolutely 1,000% different than the original Halo Combat Evolved, but I don't know if it's different than what was in the upgrades that were in the Master Chief Collection or the other re-releases of the game. So I'm not 1,000% sure what is new. What I do know is new is Unreal Engine 5. So the game looks okay. It looks good.
Yeah.
Some of the animations look weird. Some of the facial stuff looks weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're, bootstrapping some of this stuff up into Unreal Engine 5 and making it work in Unreal Engine 5. But some of the animations still look funky and weird. It's not like a complete UE5 to me. UE5 soup to nuts, top to bottom remake. Stuff still feels weird in it.
Interesting.
Mechanically, or animation wise. It plays well. It plays differently than the original Combat Halo Evolved because it's modernized. It's just different. The health regens, right? You don't have health packs. And again, I don't know what stuff was put in at different versions of the Halo releases here. There's a sprint, there's different things like aiming is different and all of these things that are different. But it's still, to me, like, it's still Halo.
Yeah.
It's still Halo.
But does that matter?
If it's still Halo?
Yeah, because I guess, look, there's a couple of things that are preventing me from playing anything Microsoft right now. The BDS boycott, the general vibe of everything around Xbox right now being fairly noxious. But the real thing is that, even if none of those circumstances existed right now and you presented me with this Halo 1 remake, remaster, whatever this thing is, I would have a hard time convincing myself I need to play Halo again, ever at this point. I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm just like, is there a Halo game I ever feel the need to go back to at this stage of my life? And I'm just not sure there is one.
So that was what it was for me. As I was downloading it and wanted to jump in as kind of a curiosity because, like you just said, all things being equal, I've played Halo a lot.
Yeah, a lot of us have.
I've done my Halo service. And if this weren't on a PlayStation, would I feel a need to jump in? I'm not sure. Okay. I might boot it up to take a look and see what it looks like. I'm curious where consistent Halo fans fall on this, right? Where people who have been really into the current Halo and stuff fall on this one. I think it's okay, but I don't know. It almost feels like they're testing the waters here in Unreal Engine 5 for whatever they're going to do with Halo. Right? Like, hey, let's we got to bring Halo to a new engine. Let's see how this all works, and we might as well do it with Halo 1 and see how that works out. Would I play this if I've never played Halo before? Probably this would be the one to go get. Yeah, like why wouldn't you, right? Yeah. I guess. Is it going to bring a new generation of people to Halo? I can't say, because Halo is such a thing for us, you know?
I mean, is this just a test bed for them being like, here's what Halo might look like now that we're messing around with UE5 and all this other stuff? And I that's fine and everything, but like, I don't think they're making a compelling argument for why you would want to play Halo again if you are anything other than a gigantic super fan of Halo. Like, again, the novelty of having this on a PlayStation platform is in and of itself that's weird.
Huge. And huge, because people on PlayStation have never played Halo. If you've never...
if you've never played on a gaming PC or anywhere else you can play Halo, yes. But the bigger thing is that, like, Halo is still an old game, no matter how many times you slice it. There have been a lot of great first-person shooters on consoles in the years since. This is not a diss on the original campaign and its importance. It's just saying that, like, I personally have a hard time extracting any meaningful need to experience any of those games again.
Yeah, and I don't play a lot of remasters and remakes. I will say one funny bit. I'm no Halo expert again, so I can't tell you exactly what's new mechanically in this versus not. But one funny thing was I immediately inverted my controls. Right, that's how I play shooters. But you know, the funny thing, and for people who have lived through this, it's probably in meme territory, is the thing when you wake up as Master Chief and they're like, Chief, look at the lights. How does this feel? Like, look up, look down. And so I looked up and I looked down and I was like, it's like, hey, did this feel right? You can skip it if you want. I was like, no way I'm skipping that. That's a Halo experience. And I looked up and I looked down and I looked left and I looked right. And it's like, is this good or you want me to invert your controls? And I was like, no, this is good. It inverted my controls again. Whatever it did, it like put me back to normal. And I was like, okay, we'll leave you here. And I was like, no. Like, my controls were inverted when I got here. So it was just a weird thing that I guess they didn't account for you to have gone into the menu to invert your control and then to say, this is good the way I'm doing it, is the way that it's set in the menu. It's like a weird logic thing where they're flipping a switch. It was funny to me and probably nobody else. But the cutscenes, the voice acting, okay. You know, like there are new levels in there. If you like,
they did some like prequel missions, right?
Yeah. Yes, you can go jump into those. I didn't jump into those yet. I was mostly curious about what's the original Halo experience. Again, getting to the Warthog, the controls you can change from traditional Warthog controls, driving the Maniac controls that I kind of love of driving that Warthog, or like more modern controls of driving a Warthog where it's like you steer it and you don't just aim it. You know what I mean? Do you remember the old Warthog controls that were just like, I mean. Which is funny because I do feel like it was tuned and very slidey for those weird aim the Warthog where you want it to go kind of controls. So I might switch it back if I ever continue playing this. Other than that, he's on the PlayStation, man.
He's Big everywhere green. You want him to be, even when you don't want him to be.
If this had been in development still, during all of this upheaval and the new reign of Asha Sharma, would this have made it to a PlayStation, or would this have been locked down to Xbox? Would they have put
there's
the
nothing,
big man on the PlayStation?
I mean, other than having advertised it previously, there's nothing that says they couldn't have just pulled it back and said, actually, we're not doing this.
I think it might have been a little weird.
Well, it would have been weird, but everything's weird with them now. Like, that's the whole point, is that everything that had kind of been laid out as track under the Phil regime is just different now, and they're doing it different. So, like, I mean, like Gears of War, which was originally, I think, talked about being a multi-platform game, and they pulled it as like, actually, it's an exclusive on Xbox. So they could do this with anything that they want to, but they saw still value in the idea of putting Halo on a PlayStation. Maybe they also thought the novelty of that was just hilarious, so why not?
And you're probably, going back to the bigger point, you're probably 1,000% right that everybody who is already in the Xbox ecosystem has played the Halo campaign probably five times.
This is probably the one place you're going to make money on this thing.
Yeah. Well, it'll be on Game Pass, but
you're not making money on Game Pass.
I'd say that's
That's
what I mean.
one of the big problems they've run into recently. I don't know if you remember that.
I've heard. But I mean, like, if you're in the Xbox ecosystem, you're probably interested in some kind of Halo thing. This is what I kind of want to know from the fan base and anecdotally. What's this doing for people who are pretty much in the Xbox camp, right? Is this an amazing thing, or is this like, it's kind of a novelty? I'm not sure what the excitement level is for this one. Mine is more novelty. It's more like, oh, okay. I'm not sure what my excitement level is for Halo at this point. They haven't done anything that interesting for me in quite a while. So
let me put it this way. If there were not a boycott on, I would buy the PlayStation 5 version of this game just to have that box. It would be the only PS5 box that I buy, probably ever.
Oh, the boxed game.
Yeah, I want the physical copy of that because that's so weird. And that is the only reason I would do it. I'm not going to do it now and all of that. But like, I do think that is the only real novelty to me, is just having that box and looking at it and going, this is fucking stupid.
I wonder, I don't know if they have a physical version
They do.
of this. Oh, they do?
They totally do. Yeah, I know because, I think it was Harris Foster was on Blue Sky being like, yeah, someone did a ROM hack of Halo for the PlayStation. It's wild. And I was like, oh, yeah, there really is a box for that thing, huh?
Oh, okay. That's a good point. Maybe I'll go look up a box of that. I wonder if they're selling out. It is just such a weird thing. It is. So it's just all branded like
it's
PlayStation
just Halo.
Blue?
It's just fucking Halo on a PlayStation
but it's not
box.
Like green? It's not like
no, it's
gold.
blue.
Yeah. Oh, it's very weird. It's very weird. I think that's the thing. I've talked about it before. It's Master Chief is, for me, the Xbox mascot. So like, just that's it. That's Mario on a PlayStation. That's Mario on an Xbox.
I mean, he is, but let's be real. Like, Xbox doesn't have a mascot anymore. Like, Master Chief hasn't mattered in that way since mascots really mattered between each platform. Like, Sony doesn't really have one anymore either. Like, it's Spider-Man at this point, probably more than anyone
Kratos,
else. Yeah, but like, they've gotten away from that. And I think Microsoft didn't do it willingly. I think they still want Master Chief to kind of be their mascot, but like, just Halo hasn't been in a good place and people just don't care the way they used to. I think the only true mascots left in gaming are Mario and Sonic. That's it. And Sonic's not even for a platform. He's more of an idea of a mascot.
The idea of a guy.
He's holding on to something that doesn't exist anymore, but he still exists as a mascot for this illusory concept.
Yeah. Look, for me, it'll be Master Chief. I don't know. And for me, in the same way that Crash Bandicoot is the Sony mascot, right?
Yes. Sony has moved through several over the years.
Yeah. It's all just from a time when you're like, oh, who is the special unlockable character in your Soul Calibur or whatever, or your game, and it's like, oh, of course, it's
who's going to guest star in this Mario sports game for you?
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly. It's going to be Master Chief and Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. Anyway, now you got me thinking about, should I get a physical copy of this weird portal into the seventh seal of the video game gate breaking with Master Chief on a PlayStation. But there's a disc in the box?
I think so. As far as I know.
Because it's a weird thing, even on numerous levels, because Sony's getting rid of discs altogether.
Yes,
anyway.
This might be the last chance to get the weirdest disc anyone's going to make between now and then.
Right. Just a seal.
I'm not saying you should go out and do that. I'm just saying this is probably the last truly weird PlayStation disc that will ever come out.
Weird because it's Master Chief on a PlayStation. Weird because they're getting rid of discs, and weird because we don't know if Microsoft and Xbox will be around in 2027. So,
anyone's guess at this point.
Anyway, again, if you're playing it, you can let me know. I'm curious. You can email the podcast or just talk about it in the Discord. I'm curious what people who are into it are thinking about it, who are way into it. Novelty, cool thing. This is rad as hell. I'm not sure. I think that's the games for now.
Yeah.
Again, if you've been following this podcast for a while, if you are in tune with the kinds of games that I like, Desktop Explorer.
Sounds like the one.
You should look into it. I'm going to play it a little bit on Friday if we do a grab bag, just to kind of show it off. And just to wrap up here, because I mentioned it earlier, I'll just say Moss, downloaded that, was playing it. I adore Moss. I think it's a really great VR experience. If you take the VR away, it is definitely a lesser experience. I think,
Okay.
some of the diorama stuff doesn't play as much.
I see why they did it, like why you make this version of it, but it always felt like those games were very designed for you being in a headset.
Yes, they should absolutely have done it, but I do think it is a little bit lesser of an experience.
Not the optimal way to play them.
Yeah. But I think Moss is a lot of fun. I think it's a tight little game, but maybe not as great without the VR experience. And that package is Moss 1 and 2 on the PlayStation. All right, we're going to take a break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the news, so stick around. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we are back, and we got some news here, and the first bit of news that we have is sad but not unexpected. It is concerning Double Fine, and like we said, I don't know, last week or the week before. During
the last several weeks, really, as we've been talking about all this Microsoft stuff.
Yeah, as they've gone independent or have spun out of the Xbox brand, we probably knew some changes were going to happen. And Alex, we've got some reports that those changes are coming to fruition. What is the report here?
Yeah, so again, I'd say this is also probably going to be something to watch out for with Compulsion and some of the other studios that have spun off as well. But so they are laying off 23 of their staff. They have not named a lot of names, though I've only seen one person actually come out and say, actually, I was one of the laid off people so far. So I don't know like what particular departments they are targeting here or what have you. But basically, this is them having to shed some headcount because they are trying to fortify themselves to deal with whatever the current independent games marketplace is.
And Double Fine is a really interesting case because of just how documented their gaming career has been in kind of unprecedented.
Very much by design, yeah.
Yeah, like no other
between the two different
really.
like documentaries they've done literally about the making of some of their biggest games and kind of just generally how open that studio tends to be about a lot of its like company culture stuff and
struggles.
And struggles.
So yeah, they had the Broken Age, Kickstarter and documentary there, and then their
Psych Odyssey.
Yeah, and then their big one right up until they got picked up by Xbox.
I'll say again, take every opportunity I can. Cannot recommend that thing enough if you just want to see some real inside baseball shit about game development. I mean, even if it is just one specific studio, one specific circumstance, there's a lot in there that is applicable broadly.
And so now that they're being independent again, I mean, there's not really much more to the story. They put out an announcement themselves that kind of details.
They say they would not do this lightly. Like they are emphasizing that like we are doing this because we have to in order to kind of survive our current form. Yeah.
So best of luck to everyone looking for a job there. Like you said, I bet this is on top of the thousands of people that are losing their jobs from Xbox proper. I wonder if we'll see more from Double Fine. I wonder if the cameras are rolling right now, right? Like if they were approached or somebody, I know this is a really tough time, but I would not be surprised if someone were like, hey, this is the next part of your journey. Would you be okay if we film this? It doesn't always have to come out, but we'd like to document this next part of the journey.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm of mixed feelings about that because again, I do appreciate the openness with which they have demonstrated, like some of the hardships that studio has gone through and sort of the ways that the things that have happened there. But I also kind of feel like right now they probably just need to figure shit out internally before they start putting themselves out there in that kind of way again.
Well, so that's the thing, right? It's like I'm not saying something comes out now, but
no, I know. But
do you want somebody?
Filming it.
Do you want somebody with a camera in your face right now as you're at like a really vulnerable, tough moment? Probably not.
I think no, and it's not just for the sake of protecting the people who are still there. Who I imagine just the last thing in the world they want to do is talk to a camera about the people they just that no longer work with them. But I think also for the sake of the people who are leaving, like I don't think having a camera in your face to talk about that situation really does a whole lot for anyone involved.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll
not
see.
At this stage right now.
Yeah. Certainly shouldn't be the focus, and is not the focus of this report, which is about these people who were working there are no longer there as they figure out how to survive in a really tumultuous video game industry right now. So again, best of luck to Double Fine and people who are looking for jobs from that Xbox layoff and now Double Fine. Our next story here is about Miyamoto. Mr. Nintendo himself has some advice for people.
Nintendo's constant gardener is here to tell you about how you should be making games, goddammit.
And how you should not be making games. And while, Alex, what would you say is the summary here from Mr. Miyamoto?
So it's part of a larger interview in Famitsu that like this chunk has kind of been sliced out for in Western media, and people are kind of seizing some of these quotes because Miyamoto is just kind of talking about the general Nintendo philosophy of making games and his personal philosophy for making games. And it sounds, when you say it out loud, like the most obvious thing in the world. But the reality is that, we live in in an industry, in a world where this kind of thinking maybe actually is not super rewarded these days. But basically the gist of what he says is game makers should pursue their own personal interests when they are beginning to build new games. Like, games should be based on the things you're interested in. Pokemon exists because the designer of Pokemon was really into insect collecting and trading and things like that. Mario became the way it is because of certain personal fixations that we had. He's basically saying the thing that, they said about Hollywood and any other kind of like major media industry, which is that when you focus test things to death, what you end up with is an edgeless, completely unremarkable product that might please some people for a while, but does not have any kind of real staying power.
Or if you chase a trend, right?
Yes,
like
if you're just trend chasing. And I imagine this is probably in response a little bit to some of where the game industry has been recently, chasing the live service trend, chasing some of the other trends that have kind of been of the time recently, and some of that stuff really blowing up in various companies' faces. And Nintendo, for their part, it's not that they've never done things that were trendy. It's just that it always felt like they were approaching things from their own idiosyncratic way. Like, obviously, Splatoon is not the first multiplayer shooter on a console ever, but it's the first one that I know of to involve, like territory control through paint splatter. Like, they found a hook for it that made it stand out as not just another multiplayer shooter in a very crowded market.
I sometimes give Nintendo a hard time, but I also they're an amazing company who I would say is more trendsetter than trend chaser. Like, people in the industry follow Nintendo. I think even when they are trend chasing, they take ownership of it and they make it unique to the point where it seems like then people will reference Nintendo stuff as the thing that set the trend, even if they were building on or iterating on an existing trend.
Like, it's not always good. Like, don't get me wrong.
They have failure, but
they have missed
tried
hard in the past. But the thing is, and I think this is the advice that I certainly would give to anyone in any art field at all, which is that make things to please yourself. Make things that adhere to your personal interests. Find a way to tell make that art, tell those stories, whatever, in ways that like people can access and understand. But, it should start with the things you find interesting, because if you start from a place other than that, people aren't going to buy into what you're doing.
And just anecdotally, I'll say as I get older, and we all have now lived in the internet for a long, long time, I have found in the internet.
Am I in the pipes? Am I stuck here? Am I just a digital Alex now?
You kind of are.
Fuck.
That if you are feeling a certain way, or you have questions, or there are going to be so many other people that feel like you, and this always feels like an internet thing of like, when I'm like, I can't be the only one who thinks this. You're not. You're definitely not
a chance.
And I think successful artists who find new directions take that, make a thing that is like, I can't be the only one feeling this, and then find an audience that's like, no man, a lot of us were feeling this, and now you've expressed it in an interesting way, or made it a good thing. I mean, sometimes you're a little on the outside and like, no, there are 5 of us that also feel this weird way about you, but
that's fine. But
that's fine.
Make your sicko shit for those sickos then. I say again, like the art that has always resonated most with me throughout my life is stuff that very clearly is the work of someone who was obsessed with the specific details of that thing. Their interests are just poured out all over whatever that is. Sometimes it's not about that thing, but those things are so infused into the actual work that it's impossible not to see the passion and the sort of like, obsession in there. And I think where he's coming from is that same perspective of the art you make for yourself will always be more interesting than the art you try to make for other people.
Absolutely. I mean, that's it. I think we've seen a lot of great examples of this in the indie space, where a lot of this is flourishing. I think one of those great examples is something like, for a lot of reasons, is something like a Vampire Survivors that was not the first of those types of games somebody had maybe seen or that was going around, but it brought in so many weird things and made it such a fleshed out, just oddball, eclectic mix of stuff.
It's the game that calcified what those games were after it existed.
Yeah,
like, even if there may have been other auto shooters or bullet heaven games, every one that has come since Vampire Survivors has at least been in conversation specifically with vampires and its design.
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing with something like a Demon's Souls, where like not the first to do it.
No,
but it's
a calcifying point where
yeah.
everything sort of hardens around it and everyone's trying to figure out how to do that.
And I think Nintendo hits that often, where it's like maybe not the first, they take in parts of other things and they're like, but we're going to give it personality. Nintendo's great at that. We're going to give it some character, some story. Yep. We're going to flesh it out. We're going to put that Nintendo magic into it. And I think that has made their brand the envy of the video game world for a very, very long time.
Oh, yeah.
Even though some of their stuff sometimes is like, you guys are not iterating nearly as much as I think you should. But everybody wants to be Nintendo.
It's true.
They do.
I mean, I don't specifically, but I did at a time, and I absolutely, I understand that desire because, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you? They're fucking huge.
They're huge. And look, Miyamoto's track record, like he's one of the greats, like unimpeachable.
Oh yeah. No. First ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, I think we all kind of agree with that. Like there really isn't much discussion on that one. Miyamoto matters in a way very few people do to this industry.
Top of the list, right?
Yeah.
And like maybe with a pretty big gap between number 1 and number 2. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think that gap has closed over the years, but I do think that like if you're talking about singular figures in video games, Shigeru Miyamoto is 100% first ballot in that conversation.
Yes.
Okay. Not a controversial statement by any means.
How dare you? Let's see. Look, all he has to do is make it to the end game here. Like,
I hope he's having a nice time tending his gardens and giving quotes. I hope that he is enjoying this stage of his life and his career.
He's like, what is he, like official Nintendo chairman?
He's
for life,
more
ambassador?
than just the ambassador thing that they have sort of like shunted Charles Martinet into.
Yeah.
And I do think he comes in and he does talk to designers and he does like, give input on games specifically, but I don't think he's there full time. I don't get the impression he's showing up full time.
Let him tend his garden with his Pikmin.
Mm-hmm.
They're all real, Mr. Miyamoto. All right. We got another round of quotes here from an industry vet, this time coming out of EA and Dragon Age here. Ex-Dragon Age producer.
Mark Dara.
Yep. And Mr. Dara has some things to say about the state of EA and Dragon Age.
I think the pull quote from this one is someone once described to me EA as a hedge fund with a video game hobby that wished it didn't spend so much money on, and I think that remains true.
That's brutal.
It is brutal, but I think it's accurate.
Yeah, the gist of this, whole thing here from Dara is that he left BioWare in 2021. Was there for over 20 years.
Worked on the first 3 Dragon Ages, right? And I probably did some work on Veilguard before it came out.
And is basically saying, like, look, I think there is probably some audience appetite for a Dragon Age reboot, a Dragon Age collection, more Dragon Age, but there's nobody at EA that's going to make that happen, or nobody even at BioWare, whatever BioWare is now, that could make that happen.
Yeah, it's not quite a Roman concrete situation where there's just no one left to remember how to make them. It's just that the number of people who have experience with Dragon Age prior to Veilguard is not very high at BioWare at this point. And there's engine differences. Like there is the, like Mass Effect, I guess, was Unreal, but the Dragon Age stuff was done in this other engine. It's the Aurora engine. And so basically they say that no one outside of BioWare, a handful of people at BioWare still understand that engine. So it's not a game that you can't just go back and just shove those first 3 Dragon Ages out with new modern technology without more people that maybe knew how some of that stuff worked.
Yeah, there's also a quote here that's just like, here, I'll just read it. The problem is I don't know who at BioWare would pitch a Dragon Age. So the other option is somebody else within the EA organization decides they're going to pitch a Dragon Age. And what I expect would happen if they try to do that is that somebody at BioWare would essentially become one of those people jumping under the vents to rip that person apart, which is not an expression I am familiar with.
That's a new one for me as well. I'm going to be honest with you.
Know what's happening at EA. I suspect that it wouldn't happen for a variety of reasons. And, this is not even to mention what's going on with the new investors coming into EA. With
I think
Saudi
getting
Arabia.
anything greenlit right now is probably a nightmare if you are not Battlefield or sports.
Yeah. Which is, I know there's like all hands on deck for Mass Effect. Mass Effect, send a picture if you're okay. We need to know.
I don't know, but it was just interesting hearing some of these quotes and seeing what this person was saying about this. Because, Veilguard I know wasn't a hit, but like it didn't sell nothing. Like it certainly did okay reviews wise and seemed like it had its audience. But, that's probably not enough to get another one of those spun up, especially with the limitations that this person seems to believe they are operating under right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is EA a games company still? I mean, yes.
Currently?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not quite Konami, where they are literally just shifting over to other business interests they have, because EA doesn't really have other business interests. The other business interest is holding on to IP they're not using. That's where the hedge fund thing kind of comes in.
Yeah, I suspect that, and this seems like the obvious, that EA, like you just said, is going to focus on sports titles.
And Battlefield.
And maybe Battlefield if Battlefield.
The last one hit pretty well. I mean, I know the
right?
player count at some point dropped off a cliff for that game, but I think it still does well enough.
But stuff like Madden. What is the FIFA called now? Is it just football?
EA Football, FC, basically.
FC.
Yeah. The money printers. Like the stuff that is just the obvious, like meat and potato stuff for them.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggie. All right. Finally here,
a piece of news that isn't terrible.
Yeah. I liked Pragmata, the kind of sci-fi game with the little android girl and the kind of chucklehead running around in his suit. You're her uncle.
A real goof.
Real goof. Apparently that game sold well enough that Capcom internally is like, yeah, man, that's a new IP for us. We've heard this before, that it was doing well. It's all but confirmed here in some reporting that it did well enough that they are probably going to make a sequel and continue with that franchise. As Capcom seems to be doing just fine. Revenue-wise, Resident Evil seems to be doing real well. I mean, not everything's hitting, but it sounds like they are, with Resident Evil and Monster Hunter doing strong sales. Capcom, one of the ones that is continuing to, I wouldn't say flourish, but just do fine, truck along.
I don't assign any specific difference or strategy to what Capcom is doing versus any other company as to why they seem to be prospering more than others. It just feels like they have a certain confidence in what they're doing, and they're just doing it. Like, there isn't a lot of like hand-wringing. There isn't a lot of press releases about chasing market trends or, doing this or that to the company, like focusing on this or that. They just have these franchises, and they seem to have a good idea of what cadence to put them out on. And when they have a new original idea, it seems like they are willing to get behind it in a way that maybe even some other major publishers are not.
Yeah, and so I think it's interesting. I think Pragmata is really good, and I think it's a core concept is really good. The gameplay is good. We just talked about Halo coming back out in this remaster of Halo. I have enjoyed, for the most part, all of the Resident Evil remasters. Especially Resident Evil 2, but also 4 and those. But there's something about them that feels different enough, and there's been enough time where we haven't had that many Resident Evil 4, maybe aside, that many versions of it come out, where I don't have the fatigue I have for the Halo stuff. And I think also it's there. obviously surface level, they are very different franchises, but I think if you step back, even Halo for me seemed to run out of steam in its run at some point, where Resident Evil was always different enough where each game on its own stood as something.
Yeah, and Resident Evil was bad for a while.
Yeah.
Like, Raccoon City, the multiplayer game. There was 6, which was, universally reviled. There's 5, which was...
I know, you hate it. I don't hate it.
It's a very divisive game. You have to admit that much. But, there's a lot... Like, that
it's
stretch...
got its issues, for sure.
Yeah, that stretch was not great for this franchise at all. And they just kept doing it until they found a thing, which was basically, hey, what if we were first person for a while?
Yeah. And then went back and were like, hey, what if we remade these other games
and do a really good job on it?
And do a great job. So good on Capcom. Nice to hear that they're doing well, and it's also great to hear that Pragmata might be getting a sequel in the future. What that is, I have no idea. Where they go with that world, no idea.
See, I'm actually excited for this because I thought Pragmata was a great proof of concept that had some fun in it, but did not hold my attention the whole way through. I would love to see what they do to try and escalate that premise a little bit and what they can do with it.
Yeah. So you go, Capcom.
Yeah.
All right, that is going to do it for the news. Kind of, a little lighter of a news week. I know we talked about some layoffs and stuff, but it was after the couple of weeks we've just had, kind of nice to not have some bombshell.
Not have it be the worst.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, let's go into emails. If you've got an email, you can send them to podcast@nextlander.com. podcast@nextlander.com. And I will say, if you're sending in these emails, it is very likely that one Brad Shoemaker may be the one going through the emails for next week. So,
yes. Send him all the love you can.
Yeah. That's podcast@nextlander.com. This first email I'm going to read is for you, Alex, specifically. Okay. It comes from old Zach from Savage, Minnesota. And Zach says... I'd like to say I've seen over 10,000 movies, and a lot of that time has been spent scraping the absolute bottom of the barrel to find the weirdest, most disgusting, bizarre, and entertaining kind of schlock there is. So I was really excited to learn that Vinegar Syndrome is opening a physical store in Minneapolis.
Ooh.
Does Alex have any recommendations for me to look for? Some really bizarre or very niche trash that he probably would never ask Vinny to do for the Watchcast.
Okay, one, I don't know why they're doing that in Minneapolis of all places and not elsewhere, but I have no problem with it. Go wherever you want. Minneapolis likes that. Maybe they just did some market research and they were selling the most Blu-rays to them for some reason. Maybe it's a Mall of America thing. I don't know. But either way, that's great. Vinegar Syndrome is a very interesting label. They do some stuff you've heard of. Like, they did an edition of the, Norm Macdonald movie Dirty Work. There is an edition of the movie Congo that they have done.
Okay.
Most recently, they did the Robert Englund movie The Mangler. So these are movies that were major studio pictures, maybe not the most successful ones. But they also do some real Z-grade trash of all stripes and shapes. So I think just kind of broadly speaking, some ones that I think they have done particularly good jobs on that are not just straight up studio pictures. There is the movie Dead Heat, which is a buddy cop comedy movie starring Treat Williams and Joe Piscopo, where one of them is a resurrected zombie cop. And that's the movie. Is
this late game Joe Piscopo? Or
it's like 1988.
Okay, so peak Joe Piscopo.
If there ever was one, yes.
Okay,
So there is if you like goopy horror.
Okay.
One of the better, I'd call it, I think it is actually straight up H.P. Lovecraft, but there is an adaptation of From Beyond. They did a 4K edition of it. It is a very goopy, very nasty film. And not terrible. Unlike a lot of maybe things in that general milieu, maybe not, or normally not the best. That movie's all right. And gross, if you like that kind of thing.
From Beyond. Okay.
If you just want something really fucking stupid, there is a movie called Sergeant Kabukiman that is about a cop who rescues a dying kabuki performer during a shootout and is infused with the supernatural power of kabuki to become a superhero, more or less. It is exactly as culturally sensitive as you would think it would be.
Okay, great. And you've watched this movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've experienced it, is how I would put it.
So Dead Heat, From Beyond, and Sergeant Kabuki Cop?
Kabukiman.
Sergeant Kabukiman, okay.
There's more. There is the Scanner Cop series, which is basically a cheesy offshoot of the success of Scanners. And Maniac Cop, I think, maybe also.
Okay.
They've had both those movies packaged together. They're fucking awful, and I kind of recommend them.
Okay.
I'm trying to think like some other like good weird ones. There's actually like a decent amount of like good editions of like 80s and sometimes 70s like Chinese martial arts movies on there. Like those, like the edition of Righting Wrongs that we watched for the Watchcast was a Vinegar Syndrome one, and I like they do good job on that stuff for sure.
So are they just out there just kind of picking up things that are out of the AAA tier and kind of more in the B movie or C or D movie?
I think up to this point, the biggest movie they've ever done was Roadhouse.
Oh, okay.
And that was kind of a rare one for them. They don't normally go that far into studio territory. I mean, they did an edition of Virtuosity recently, too, actually, that they did a very nice job on that, if you're into that. But also, they have a 4K edition of Troll 2. They did a 4K edition of Tromeo and Juliet.
And their scaling or scanning of the films and bringing them to 4K is generally considered pretty good.
They do really nice work for the most part. Some of the prints they get are just the grainiest picture you've ever seen in your life, but that's because these movies were filmed cheaply in like the 1970s or something, you know? So
not their process necessarily.
No, their
the
process,
source material.
I think they are among one of the better labels as far as like their actual transfers go.
Okay. You might not love the film, but they love the process.
Listen, if you want the best looking version of Miami Connection you will ever find, Vinegar Syndrome has you covered.
Other versions?
I mean, there's like a regular Blu-ray release someone did a while ago. And this is, I want to be clear, I'm not sponsored by them. I don't work with them at all. I have just bought a lot of their movies over the years.
Okay. It's so interesting. Those things, like you know, like Criterion Collection that I am familiar with, Vinegar Syndrome seems to be just in a different genre.
Yeah.
Is there a Vinegar Syndrome closet that you can walk into?
Kind of. It's probably like a weird, creepy warehouse, but yes, absolutely. The way I came to them was they did an edition of this movie that I had been looking for a while because I saw it in a theater when I was in my teens, and I was kind of fascinated by it, but it was barely seen by anybody, called Six String Samurai.
Oh.
It is a post-apocalyptic like journey movie about a guy who looks like a rockabilly guitarist and has a guitar, but is also a warrior samurai, fighting like random people, mutants, like excised like Soviet soldiers in a post-nuclear war world.
You saw this in a theater?
Yes, in a tiny art house theater in San Francisco. I saw this in like the late 90s with a friend of mine, and I was like, "This is amazing! No one's going to come see this," and I was right. That movie bombed terribly, even for an indie picture.
What was the name of it?
Six String Samurai.
Weird. Okay. And they put out a release of it?
They did put out a release of it. So the guy who stars in it, Jeffrey Falcon, is actually a pretty well-known Hong Kong martial artist. Like, he's a white guy, but he's a guy who performs as like villains and other characters in a lot of like Hong Kong action stuff. And so they got him to star in this movie.
Alex, I'm going to ask you a nugget of Caravella memory here.
Please.
Maybe you can help me out. What is the movie? It's like a carnival sideshow movie. I only saw it on like HBO when I was younger.
Freaked?
And there's like a
Is it Freaked?
Is there like there's like a human worm or like a worm?
I think you're thinking of Freaked.
Professor Worm.
Does it have Bill from Bill and Ted?
Maybe.
And Randy Quaid?
I don't
and
remember.
Mr. T? Because if so, that is Freaked.
Okay. I mostly remember the worm.
That was definitely a daytime. Yes, there is a worm character. Yes, that's absolutely what you're talking about. It was directed by Bill from Bill and Ted, Alex Winter.
Okay.
Yes, that is a mainstay of daytime movie channel watching of mine as well.
Is that did Vinegar Syndrome put out a 4K version?
No,
of
not yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if they went there at some point.
Freaked. Okay.
A delightful film.
Is it? Okay, I haven't.
Yeah, it's very rubbery, but very much by design.
I just don't remember much about it, except that it was like one of those, you're homesick or you're not in school for some reason.
Yes, and you somehow feel even more feverish after watching it. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Alex, I have a guilty confession here.
Okay.
Last time, I forget how we even got on it, but we started talking a lot about Steven Seagal for some god-awful reason.
Yes, and then we got into some other territory regarding Steven Seagal.
I then spent a long time watching a rabbit hole on YouTube and various places of old Steven Seagal lore. I think you had mentioned the Arsenio Hall thing, which I had to go look up, and his and every interview I watch, we talked about the Saturday Night Live bit, the hosting thing, and I was looking to penetrate into, because my question was, is there anyone who sincerely is a Steven Seagal fan, and currently,
someone must be,
and so in all of my looking around, I could not find one. There are people who interview him. It always seems like maybe they're doing it with like a finger on their nose, kind of like so we got an email here that says, my dad was a huge Steven Seagal fan and made me watch his entire catalog.
Oh boy, that's a rough catalog once you get past the 90s.
My father, may he rest in peace, was a man with undiagnosed ADHD.
Okay.
Many of his temporary hobbies rubbed off on me, playing PC games in the 80s and 90s being the reason for my career in IT and podcast choices. During my 7th grade year, when my dad was a recently divorced bachelor and I was living with him, he hit a phase where every trip to Sam's Club, Walmart, anywhere that sold VHS tapes, would buy and make me watch with him every single shitty Steven Seagal movie he could find.
Okay.
It got to the point where they were all as formulaic as Hallmark Christmas movies. I have to admit, I enjoyed Under Siege, and to a lesser degree, Under Siege 2.
Yeah, those are like both pretty good movies, all things considered.
As I grew older and watched Mr. Seagal's frame grow and his fame shrink, I didn't even think about him much, but your conversation transported me back to 7th grade movie nights with my dad. Take care, you wonderful podcast people. It comes from Sean in Ohio. I don't know, Alex. I don't think I'm going to say I have a fascination that has like sprung up in a weird way, but there is this question, because as I was looking into this stuff, it seems like more and more, as he has become this cartoonish character almost.
Yes.
There are just more stories that come out about what an asshole he always was. Like,
yes.
What a
never has been a good person by any stretch. Like, he just has gotten weirder and more idiosyncratic with it over time.
It's just stories about him working, I don't know what you call this in these, working hard or like throwing real punches to stuntmen.
Working stiff is basically, that's the wrestling parlance for it.
Okay. Like hitting stuntmen, like stuntmen getting hurt and him not knowing how, and him having too much ego, and then people calling him out, like all these beefs that existed and people wanting to fight him. The whole Van Damme beef and like that whole scene, real people who had won championships in martial arts and him being like, they're not real and wanting to kick his ass. It's just, there is something so...
it's pathological, whatever it is.
It's incredible in the most old school. You know how you sometimes say we can't have cranks anymore because everything's. He's just like so cartoonishly weird.
Yes, he is a genuine oddity among humanity, and I'm not. And the thing is, he's been enabled over time by his fame and his sort of like earned or unearned reputation and all of that. And again, I do think he started from a place where he did at least understand a martial art. Like, I don't think he's completely a fraud in the sense that I do think he knows how to throw a punch and a kick within a certain style, maybe mostly doing judo throws these days. But the point is, like, there is some amount of knowledge that did exist there.
Yeah.
But I think almost all of it is either gone or just not applicable to the current version of him. And now he's a guy who will just do every direct-to-streaming piece of shit you can imagine if he's actually even making movies anymore. And he's just mumbling his way and fucking like doing fight scenes sitting down.
And look, I'm not here to ever body shame anybody. But
no, it's not about body shaming.
And he kind of just looks like looks like a mess. Like he just looks like a a dude who
it's Orson Welles-esque, and that's the only time I will ever compare those two people for any reason, in that it just feels like a certain amount of impulse control has gotten out of hand with him. Like he's not taking care of himself.
But is to everybody else who like trained super hard to compete. It's just it's a wild thing. There's a fascination with it that I just, going back and just rewatching old stuff, I was trying to find where somebody would be like, he's a sweetheart. And it doesn't exist.
No, that person does not exist, because anyone who has run afoul of him is just like instantly repulsed by him.
It's amazing. All right, I got another email here that I wanted to read, and maybe we can be pretty quick with this one. It's about Quantum Break.
Okay.
Now, you played Quantum Break around the time it came out. And this question here is, in short, is I played Quantum Break over the weekend and was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I didn't have an Xbox One, so I didn't play the game at launch, but I remember the reception being pretty tepid.
Mm-hmm.
While I don't think the game is a 10, the boss battles are pretty lackluster, and the actual content of the TV show was comparable to Sony's regrettable Powers show from around the same time. I started to wonder if the game's association with the Xbox One and their big transmedia push led folks to being predisposed to dislike it. Something like, man, obviously Xbox only cares about TV, and they're putting TV into their games.
I don't think that helped, but I don't think that's the only reason that game bounced off people. Like, it's the most unfocused Remedy game there has ever been. And I mean that in the sense that the mechanics don't always feel like they are working together in that game. The split focus between the TV show aspect of it and the gameplay part of it never felt seamless at all. And I just don't think that story was really that interesting in the grand scheme of things either. It felt like a lot of things they ended up getting a lot more correct once they moved over to Control. Like, once they kind of had a bead on what they wanted to do with that franchise, I feel like some of the ideas of Quantum Break started to come into better shape in that game, and then eventually also kind of in Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
So I really think that the bigger problem with that game is it just did not have enough juice on its own and did not feel enough like a focused game to be successful, even while with the additional impediment of mostly being known as an Xbox One game.
This is from Will, by the way. Will has another follow-up question. Do you think now is a good time for Remedy to try and purchase the Quantum Break IP?
Yes, because you will get it for $1 and a song. If you say to Asha Sharma, hey, I think you're nice, she will just give you Quantum Break at this point.
Should they have the Quantum Break IP and do anything with it?
I don't know. I think there's stuff you could tie into the Control-averse from Quantum Break.
Like some fun stuff that you could do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they've made a couple of references in Control to stuff that was in Quantum Break. So I feel like you could find a way to make that part of that universe if you really wanted to. It's not where I would go next, but I think if you have an idea, sure, explore it.
I never played it. Is it something that is worth going back to check out, even if it's academically?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, it just didn't leave that much of an impression on me, other than it feeling like an experiment that didn't quite work.
That's one with Willem Dafoe, right?
No, is he in that? It's Sean Ashmore is the lead.
Oh, Sean,
in that.
What am I thinking of? What's the Willem
You're
Dafoe?
thinking of Beyond Two Souls, which is the David Cage game.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely.
You're thinking of Quantic Dream, not Quantum Break.
Yes. Okay.
Where that famous image of him and Elliot Page sitting next to David Cage and just staring off into the middle distance while David Cage tries to explain something about art. That's where that came from.
You're right. Okay, sorry to Quantum Break.
Yeah, don't put that evil on Quantum Break. They didn't do anything like that.
All right, final question here. This one comes from
All
Rob. Right. Hi guys, with the need to always play and talk about the newest stuff, do you have time for a forever game that you keep playing on a daily or weekly basis, but just don't mention anymore on the podcast? Personally, I love playing a lot of different games, but Hunt Showdown, which I think you guys should revisit on a Monday, is something that I have been keeping in my rotation for years now. All the best from Germany. That's from Rob. Alex, I bring this up because you and I have a game group in which we do play stuff in the background.
Yeah.
That we don't talk about all the time on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, we played through all of Abiotic Factor that way. We are currently playing through the current version of Windrose right now. And I mean, we do some of that, and I have other things that I still play Balatro. You know, like I don't play it all the time, but like I'm still working my way to get beat every difficulty with every deck. That is sort of my ongoing project with that game. And I just dip into it every now and again. Same with like Marvel Snap. That is still something I play on my phone.
For real? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, look, everyone has their one. I just need to look at my phone game, and that's mine. And you know, eventually I will probably drop off of it. I've been playing less and less of it lately, but it has stuck with me for these last few years. Kind of filled a Hearthstone shaped hole.
I was gonna say you were in the Hearthstone zone for a while.
I was deep in those mines for a while. Yes.
For a while, you were playing Civ for a lot of hours.
I have several hundreds of hours in various Civs, yes. And, you know, I'd say these days that's mostly it. I was playing a lot of Vampire Survivors for a while as they kept adding new content to it and stuff, but I've kind of dropped off that. Retro Rewind has kind of been my current ongoing game, though that's, again, far more about modding it than it is about actually playing it. So, you know, I have my things. It's just like the emailer said, there's not really much reason for me to say too much new about any of them.
In addition to the stuff that we play with our other game group, I do play with my brothers. We played through a lot of Arc Raiders. You know, we played through some. I do want to try and get them back into Destiny 2. We're on a bit of a hiatus now. Congratulations to my brother on the birth of his children. You know, we tried this game Green Hell, which I don't know if we'll stick with or not. It's a survival game.
I've heard of this game.
It's a really weird one, maybe too punishing. So yeah, there are definitely things that we play in the background that I think bringing them up on the podcast, there's just not a lot new to say about them.
There are limits to what we can, you know, extract from that.
Yeah, and Hunt Showdown. Look, Rob, you're not the only one out there. That game still, I have family members that are like, this is the game I play. I'm a Hunt Showdown for life person. All right, that's the emails. That is the podcast at nextlander.com, podcast at nextlander.com, podcast at nextlander.com. That's the email address. And I think we're going to wrap this one up. We've got, like we said, the return of the Watchcast back to Star Trek. But before we get there, if you are looking at the Watchcast schedule for this week, we have going up special guest. Scott Benson came by for Night of the Hunter. Night of the Woods meets Night of the Hunter. That was an amazing film.
Yes. I'm really glad we got to do that. I'm really glad we got to yap for about 3.5 hours about that thing. You could watch the movie twice and then some in that amount of time. And I did not pad it out with that many clips, let me tell you.
That was a wild one. But that's up now on the Patreon. And then the plan is to record as much of the remaining season of Star Trek as we can before we get to October. Is that right?
I think October is kind of our designation of like, hey, we are definitely going to move back to, you know, horror movies as we always do for that month. So if we don't get through the entirety of season 3, I haven't done the math to see if that's doable or not, but we'll just pick it up next summer and then we'll just move right into the Star Trek movies.
Yeah. All right, look, there's always that cartoon if you want to do a couple
we're going to do. If we do it, we're going to do a bonus episode at least that is just kind of a broad overview of the cartoon. We don't have to do every individual episode of that show. Some of them are straight up repeats of the original series. So
it's wild.
Yeah.
So yes, the Watchcast back to Star Trek. Thank you to the guests who came through.
Yes.
Austin Walker, Scott Benson, for
Abby Russell.
Yeah, Abby Russell, Twilight. Which we will continue also to check out the Twilight movies in the future.
Now in our back pocket.
Ghost in the Shell and Night of the Hunter. Some movies that creeping up on that list.
Yeah.
That list has been fleshed out. We've also got on Monday, Will and I have been doing our raft. Will and I have been stranded on a raft together for the last 3 weeks. In some ways, I'm excited to tell Brad about it. In some ways, I think Brad is gonna be like, "What the hell have you guys been doing?" We'll see. Brad should be back next week, so we'll see if he wants to raft with us, or we may move on to something else. There are a lot of other games out there for multiplayer Mondays that we can jump into. Our Road to Empress stream has been going very well as we try to acquire the throne.
So I think now, where we are in that game, we've done all the dirty shit we got to do. Now it's about rebuilding trust with the world around us. I feel like now we're in this phase where it's like, okay, now we need to get the people to trust us.
Really not a lot left in our way, let's say. For
maybe ourselves and nothing else, really.
So yeah, if you want to check out what seems to be the conclusion, I'd say last episode really a lot of pieces fell. You can check that out, and we'll have later this week a Never Been a Better podcast going up with Austin Walker and Abby Russell. That'll be on the Patreon, patreon.com/Nextlander or Nextlander.com, which if our DNS is working correctly now should
Seems
take
like
you
it
to
is.
the Patreon. Alex, the Patreon has a lot of tiers there. It is the best way you can support us. And again, thanks for everybody who has supported us and making this the best place for us to be along with you. This is the best version here. It's at nextlander.com. The Patreon has different tiers starting at just $5 a month, and you'll get access to all sorts of things like the Ramblecast, and then going up in tiers, there's, like we said, the Watchcast, Never Been a Better podcast, the Planorama, all sorts of things there. We'll have a patron's choice at the end of this week where you can go vote. But there is one tier, Alex, that gets their name read on this here show, and it is the Mysterious Benefactors tier. Alex Navarro, would you kindly read our Mysterious Benefactors for this week?
I would indeed. Our Mysterious Benefactors this week are available for the Watchcast guest, Have Your People Call My People, Alpha Rhythm, Infelicitous Rips, David L., Kelly F., Brian Lucier, Skywarp, Jason Grimm, John Hubbard, Thor Dream, Evan Cook, Jerry Lee, Deirdre finally admits ponchos are cool, Pugtato, Pup is my name, Hashtag Bunny Fiend, Jad Rita, Renee Tatro, Statics, Maybe Today's the Day It Happens, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy Alderson, Andrew Tiepkin, Alex Wu, It Me JP, Edward Chick, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese.
Thanks to all our Mysterious Benefactors. A lot of names there that you'll recognize from listening to this show throughout the years. Supporters who have kept us going, along with all of you out there. If you're listening to this and would like to support us, again, patreon.com/Nextlander for just $5 a month. You can do a month if you want. You can do an annual membership. All of it goes to help us out and try to keep us going for as long as possible in a way that keeps us feeling good about the world we live in.
As good as we can.
Yeah. Really, we don't take a lot of sponsored content. We obviously have ads on the podcast, but we try to not do endemic game sponsorships or stuff like that. And that's due to the support we get through you. And so thank you very much for allowing that to happen, allowing us to have guests on, especially when members need to leave and spend time outside of the work. So thanks to all our guests, and thanks to you for allowing us to compensate them and support them when it's appropriate. So thank you very much, everybody. That's going to do it for the show. Like I said, Brad should be back next week. If he's not back next week, you'll understand why. But the plan is to have him come back next week. Thanks for everyone who sent him well wishes and all the best out there. We have an amazing community, and we really appreciate it. Makes me feel fantastic when I go out there and I see all you folks out there being awesome. So thanks for understanding, and thanks for being great. Alex Navarro, what a time.
What a time.
That's it.
Thank you for being you.
Hey, thank you for being me.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of where I thought that was going to go.
You know what? Thank me for being me.
Thank me for being you.
Thanks, Alex, for being you. I appreciate it. Hey, look, if you were out there and you're listening to this and you missed it, you should go check out when Alex came by here. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We should do that again. Maybe I'll crash your place and we'll play some more stuff. You might have, we'll see, you might have some games that you want to get to.
I mean, I do have a Mister now.
Yeah.
I don't know how to use it yet, but we're going to find, we'll see if between now and the next time you come over, if I figure that out.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. We'll play some more, we'll brawl together maybe some more. So thanks everybody again. We'll be back next week. See ya.